Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, so hold on. I hit a button and now I don't know where to show. There I am. Here I am. It's coming. Here I am. I'm like,
Hi.
I hit a button, I don't know where it is. Hey.
Hi.
I just tell you, it has been a day.
You are very busy right now.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I am so busy that I actually forgot to do my cuff. I completely forgot. I even have been like okaying post on the Marley's Minions for people who are making their cuffs. I'm like, that's so pretty. I love that yarn. You're doing so great. Everything's awesome. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, you really should make your cuff. You really should make your cuff. And I completely forgot. Completely.
It's okay.
That's where I am. That's where I am. But that's okay.
That's okay.
I can move along with today's homework on a swatch. That's what we're gonna have to do. Not ideal, but I'm gonna have to do it because hey, that's where life is right now. If y'all don't know, I am in the middle of a huge release with Robin Chichula for the BiCrafty Champions Workshop. You guys should all be a part of that. Honestly, you guys can be a part of it. And the best thing for you is you have a chance to do either the crochet pattern or the knit pattern. Like you absolutely could do the knit pattern, especially because I'm the one teaching you. You guys know how I roll. And those swatches are done. So no worries there. But it's something you definitely will want to be a part of, whether you get it now or you're going to see the finished product and you're going to be like, I should have gotten that. I'm going to get that now. Just so you know, the discounted price ends tonight. So after that, it will go up to the full price, which is still not astronomical at all and absolutely worth the price. But if you want to get it at a discount price, now's the time. And I will let you guys in on a little secret that Robin and I plan on sort of souping up that pattern a little bit more and offering it in different sizes, different yarns, and adding a couple of more videos to it after the initial Olympic release, so to speak, because you guys were working on this during the Olympics. So when the Olympics are gone, does that mean the workshop is done? No, it does not mean that. That's when it's like, okay, so these kind of little set parameters of working with this box from Destination Yarn and Erin Lee bags will go away. So we will broaden it and add a little bit more details. The reason I'm telling you that is when we add that, the price of the workshop will go up, but when you buy it right now, you will get all that stuff for free. So you don't have to go back and rebuy it to get all the extras that people will be paying more for later on. You'll be grandfathered in essentially right now. So if you are interested, or if you're interested at any point in this broadcast, I've put a link in the video description box below. It'll take you to a post on my website, which talks all about the details a little bit more in depth than what I've talked about right here. There's also just a little button right at the top. It's a blue button. It says, yes, you had me at BiCrafty. Click on that. It'll take you through the details of how to purchase the BiCrafty Champions Workshop. And then you'll get like an email sequence telling you how to access the videos and all the pattern and all of that stuff. So I'm in the middle of that. I'm going to show you guys this. I'm going to give you a tip. You guys seeing this? I'm also going to be doing a Christmas in July stocking knit along with Brianna again. And so I've been working on my stocking. So we're announcing
this. That's pretty.
Not pretty. So we're announcing this on
Monday. That's really pretty.
I have separated for my heel and I'm getting ready to go on to my foot. So that's where my heel will go. And that's where my foot is. So I've been working on this too. You guys will recognize what that is. Do you see what that is?
Oh, the Latvian braid.
Latvian braid. You guys encouraged me to do that. And so we have a Latvian braid. We have a really cool turned picot edge. Awesome color work. You guys know how to do this. I'm also going to go back in here where there's like little spaces and stuff. We're going to do some duplicate stitch on this, which is something we're also going to learn here with the Mitten. So can you guys make this? Darn tootin' you can.
Yes.
So all of these details will be coming out on Monday as far as what yarn and how much you need. But we used Knit Picks yarn, guys, or We Crochet yarn, however you want to, but it's City Tweed DK weight. That's what we use. So we'll be sure to get you guys all the information you need for that, including like affiliate links if you buy it from Knit Picks. We got yarn, like it just wants to attach to me everywhere. Right. So I've been working on that also, because Brianna and I are doing something a little bit different this round. Even though it's a knit along, we're going to offer the pattern up for sale before the knit along. And it's not just a pattern, it's a pattern book. So it's not just the new pattern from Brianna, the new pattern for me. It includes also 4 other patterns from us. So you're going to get a total of 6 stocking patterns for one price. So you can purchase that and have all of that together for you as you work the knit along with us, or we're going to also have that pattern free on our website. So it's kind of doing it in reverse. Usually I put it free on the website and then I offer the ad-free PDF. This time we're doing the ad-free PDF in a booklet format with a bunch of other patterns. And then we're going to put it free on the website. So depending on how you want to tackle this, you have a chance to be a part of that. So that is happening. So please forgive me that I forgot about the cup. So, because I mean, on top of that, I've been teaching Michael's classes, been teaching on yarn inspirations. I also have 2 yarn inspirations projects that are in the works right now. On top of that, I have to film the Joanne's knit along, crochet along. I'm actually doing the knit along portion for this fall. So I have that going next week. That's where I'm filming all of that stuff next week. Yeah, it's adventures, you know, there's always something going on here. Always something going on. But Catherine,
it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff that's going on.
Yes. Not gonna lie, liking my makeup today.
Looks good.
Yes, I've been wearing like my baseball caps, like whatever. We're good. I'm just doing this. How are you? What have you been doing? What's been going on with you? And while you're talking, I'm gonna grab a swatch real quick that I can use for today. Okay.
Perfect.
So tell us what's going on with you.
I wish I had something exciting to say about knitting or crochet or anything crafty. I don't. Go ahead and grab your swatch. I got super sick. I caught a summer cold. I think just starting to go out again and around the world, around people. I caught a summer cold and I'm finally better, I think. But it lasted like 2 weeks. And so for a good solid week, any energy I had either went to trying to get some work done or trying to take care of my puppy who didn't get enough exercise and went super crazy. And it was a hard week. So when I wasn't doing those things, I was sleeping. So I haven't done any crochet. I haven't done any knitting. I've looked in the Instagram hashtag and I've looked in the Minions group and people are doing such great stuff and I'm going to get there someday. But right now I'm just enjoying watching what all of you are doing and just trying to heal up, man. Sometimes, you know, that's all you can do. You get sick and it's like, you have all these ideas that you definitely want to, you know, I want to knit, I want to try this, I want to try that. But I just haven't been able to have the energy to actually do it. So that's where I'm at. And, you know, it's kind of a bummer. I feel like you guys have heard me say this before already, that I do feel a little bummed out that I am not caught up with the group, that I looked at that stocking and was like, well, I can't do any of that yet, but I'll get there. But yeah, you know, I'm grateful to be feeling healthy again, happy to be here tonight and to see everyone. It's so fun to just see everyone pop in the chat and see where they're coming from and what they're looking forward to. People are already saying that they suck at duplicate stitch. So I'm hoping by the end of today, maybe they'll have felt like they can do a little better with it. So yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I, for one, am glad that you are feeling better.
Thank you.
And I know how hard that is to like get sick and feel like, oh, I got all this work to do. I just can't do it. Like I of anybody, yeah. I totally know. Like that's all I keep thinking about right now is I can't get sick. I can't get sick. I can't get sick. Right.
Well, it's frustrating. Like for you and me, we get to do work that we love. So It's not like, you know, it's not like, oh, my office job that I hate needs me. It's like, I have this stuff I really want to do. And it's like, but I can't. So it's hard.
And that's it. You have to like, you know, I mean, Red Wire was just like, Catherine, go to sleep, stop, get off, just go. Just go. Everything is going to be fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's all as well. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I know that for myself, if I don't walk away and take that little break, I'm just getting even more sick, and it takes longer for me to get healthy. And I hate that. I hate that.
It's true.
I hate
it's
that.
true. And whatever you're doing while you're sick, it's not your best anyway. It's not like you're putting out great stuff. So you're right. Yeah. And I'm glad I did. I took some time to rest and slowly easing back in and looking at, you know, we're working with those signature needles for this month, and I'm just eyeing them. Like I'm ready to do it. I keep looking at them. They're like my goal. I have them like as a decoration right now, and it's
they're so pretty.
But they're
so pretty. And guys, don't forget, if you order them from Signature and use the code Marley Knits, all capital letters, you can get 10% off. I actually put a link, like an affiliate, not an affiliate. It's not an affiliate link. It's a trackable link in the pattern today. So as you're reading through the pattern, you'll see that I reminded you that you can order these from Signature if you're interested at all. All right, Signature. I love Signature. I'm using Signature for the Champions Workshop too, because I love them so very much. Yeah, they really turned out well. All right. Well, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. A lot of you in the Marley's Minions group have talked about how much fun it is to do this lace cuff. And a lot of you have shown your lace cuff, and it's like, oh, this is really great. They look fabulous. I cannot remember, Catherine, you're going to have to tell me, did I tell them to put their live stitches on a holder after they finish the cuff? That's what they're supposed to do. I just can't remember if I told them to do that or not.
Don't quote me. I'll look it up. I don't remember seeing that.
Okay, I think I put it on today's lesson. Like I put all the instructions for today in the lesson. So people should be able to open that up and follow along. I see
it on today's. Okay. I see it on today's. I don't think we had it previously.
Okay, that's what I thought. And so I'm like, I'll add it in just to make sure. So here's where we are, guys. If you finished your cuff and you got further than this is literally where I left you guys, and this is where it lasted. Because after I got off the phone with you guys, I was talking to Chrissy, and I was designing that stocking. That's where I was last Thursday. I was designing that stocking. As you finish your cuff, when you get to the end, what I want you to do is I want you to place all of those stitches from your needle, put them on a stitch holder. We're not going to seam the cuff together yet. We're not going to graft it together yet. I'm going to graft it together at the end. I'm going to use that in next week's video so that we can learn a little bit more about that then, because it will coincide with what we're going to do at the top of the mitten. So I want you just to put those on a holder. Now, I would just use scrap yarn if I were you. I don't like using like the larger sort of safety pin looking things. Only reason I don't like doing those is because they tend to get in my way as I'm knitting. I'd much rather just use scrap yarn that's a little bit more malleable and just kind of pushes out of the way so I don't have to stress too much about it. So as much as I love tools and I love knitting things, like things for knitting, that's actually one of the things that I don't really use too much. I use a lot of scrap yarn. So I'm going to have you guys place your live stitches from your cuff on some scrap yarn. What that's going to do, it's going to get, you're going to be completely done with this circular. Okay. You're going to be completely done with the circular, and you're going to pull in your double points. All right. So all of you go ahead and do that. While you're doing that, I'm going to grab my headphones so that way I'll be able to go to my other camera here. Let me get a drink. I am still drinking coffee because my day's not done. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, this is my life. This is my life.
Oh, you're busy right now. I've got a lot of busy stuff coming up too. So hopefully, I knock on wood, I stay healthy. And one of the busy things coming up is I get to come visit you in the near future. I'm so excited.
I know. What's funny is, I mean, it'll be like, that's like our 1 year anniversary. Do you realize that?
Pretty close.
It will have been a year, right? Didn't you start?
I think it's a year for Meg. Chrissy and I came on around October.
Oh, is that it? Gosh, man, it feels like it'll be really close. You guys came in at the thick of it, dude. Thick of it.
We did, right before all the big things. So,
and the crazy part. Go ahead.
Hopefully it'll all go even more smoothly this year, because we managed to do it.
You know, we got through it. I was like, well, we're throwing them to the fire because here we go. It was pretty crazy stuff. But we're managing. Everything's good. All right, now the headphones are in. Yeah, so Chrissy and Catherine are both going to be out here at the end of August, early September, and we got a lot of planning to do because, I mean, you think it's busy now, just wait. I mean, that's that's the scary part is you think it's busy now. This is nothing yet, and I still can't believe we're already 7 months in. Like, really?
I know.
This is nuts.
I know. I can't believe it's like the end of July. Well, Christy and I are both of us said we're making long lists of things to ask you to make sure we know what we're doing because we're going to have your undivided attention for a couple days. We're like, we're going to make those lists and get everything down so we know what we do.
Oh, Lord. I'm going to have to be making bathroom runs. That's what happens to me. I get all nervous. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, all right, you're making me upset. I got to go to the potty. Anybody else? No, just me. Okay, so I have the pattern link is in the video description box below for all of you who want to follow along. Heads up, I wrote this pattern in the last 30 minutes. So hopefully we won't find any problems with it, but that's how I have had to roll because I mean, life has just been nuts. We should be good because we're just doing things very simple. Because here's the deal, y'all. I asked last time if you guys wanted to do the Latvian braid and kind of get some ideas of how you wanted to do this mitten. So what I thought would be fun, and I talked about this briefly last week, is if we did the Latvian braid and then we made the mitten just in plain stockinette, made it really, really simple. And then what we can do next week when we go to finish the top of the mitten and then Kitchener stitch the top, graft the lace bit that we did, and then learn how to do duplicate stitch. And we could put some details on there with our duplicate stitch. And I will offer you guys up a like an alphabet chart that we can use if you wanted to monogram, like on the top. You could even put like one right, one left. This is my right, this is my left mitten. I mean, why not? You know, I'll put up a maybe one of the snowflakes, like what I did on the stocking, you know, like little things that we can kind of play around with. So once again, it's not a matchy to everything, but if you use the same yarn for everything, they're going to look really good together. My main goal with this mitten is to not only get you used to using some double points, but it's to show you even another form of construction, right? Because we're going to talk about gusset stitches. And when I talk about gusset stitches, that's really to make room for our thumb, because our hand is not just, you know, straight up and down. We have this I wanted to call it like an anomaly, but we have this appendage that sticks out.
Appendage, yeah.
I know, we have to make room for it. So we will be doing that. All right, so I'm going to make sure I gotta pull the chat questions out. Gosh, so many of you here tonight. Hi guys. Oh wow.
I know, it's great. I love seeing everybody here.
You here. Yeah, it's fun. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. First off, congratulations for making it this far, y'all. 16 lessons.
It's amazing. I mean, when you showed that stocking, I was like, okay, none of us could do that months ago, and now so many people can. Like, it's amazing.
You totally can do it. I mean, and I knit all of that really, I mean, I knit really fast, but I knit that relatively quickly, and all of you could do that. You have all the skills to do everything that's in that right now. You could do everything.
That's really amazing.
Isn't that fun?
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, let me turn on this camera and I'm gonna switch the audio. All right, I think my hand cam is there. Let me make it so that it goes sideways. Is it sideways? Maybe it is. I'm losing my mind. It looks like vertical to me because I'm crazy. All right. I'm actually going to turn this a little bit, guys. Sorry, don't mind me. That'll be easier for me to be able to see. I want to be able to see what you're seeing. All righty. Move that out of the way.
Nice nails again, Marley.
You know what? It's the same style. I was like, I really like the pink.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. All right. So as I mentioned, I don't have a cuff, but I have a little swatch here, which if you guys are part of the BiCrafty Champions workshop, you recognize because I use this in the blocking video. So it's already blocked. Yours is obviously different because yours was knit in this direction and this is knit this way, but it's going to be the same premise. So yours is finished like this, right? Like right up here. So you have a provisional cast on down here and you have your live stitches up here. What we're going to do is turn our work to the side and we're going to pick
Molly,
up
I think
stitches.
you're still in gallery. I don't know if you want to be in gallery, but I think you're still in gallery view.
Okay, hold on. How about now? I think I'm good now.
Take a minute to show up on my screen.
Yeah, because we got the delay. The awesome delay. Delay.
Can't tell yet.
1, 2, 3, Marlena's. This is how long the delay is. So when you guys are caught up,
actually really long today.
It's a very long. There we are. We're in.
There we go.
Every time you talk, it'll go to you. So there you go. All right.
So I need to mute myself, right?
Yes. Let's try this one more time. Okay, everybody. Yours is knit this direction. You have your provisional cast on stitches here. You have your stitches that you put on a holder up here. And what we're going to do is rotate it 90 degrees. And we're going to pick up stitches here. You guys with me? So when I say pick up stitches, I mean we're going to pick up and knit. We aren't just going to pick up stitches and put them on our needle. We're going to insert our needle into our fabric, yarn over with our yarn, and then pull that loop up. And that new loop is going to be on our needles. And then there you go. So one thing you can do, and this is something you guys have probably done in crochet also, is you can take your piece and divide it up into sections. So that way you can easily pick up and knit the correct number of stitches as close as possible in each section. So I like to split it in half. So I know at this point, I need to have half my number of stitches over here and half my number of stitches over there. But I also like to do it a little bit further. So I will half the half and put a marker. So now it's like I'm quartering it, you know? And the fact that I am using 4 needles to pick up stitches, having 4 sections is very helpful. You know, fancy that. Any of you do something like this in crochet? This is helpful if you're going to do button bands or you're picking up any sort of stitches. This is one of those things. You guys know I love markers. Okay. So
Marley, real quick, we have a question from Shannon asking, do we cut our live yarn end?
Yes. Let's go ahead and cut it. And if I were you, I would leave it a little bit long because we can use it for the grafting. If you didn't leave this one long, leave this one long. Does that make sense? Because when we pull it together, we're going to graft it. So you can leave these longer. All right. Now that I have this quartered out, I can look at how many stitches I'm supposed to pick up and knit, or you can think of it as casting on, whatever works for you. And it all depends on what size you're making. And you guys, this is a very fluid measurement. I never gave you a gauge for this, right? So I put it into the pattern now that we're going to assume that we're going to get 6 stitches per inch. And so at 6 stitches per inch, for a size 7 hand, you want to pick up 42 stitches. For a size 8, 46 stitches. For a size 9, 54 stitches. What do I mean by size? And where is my tape measure? Well, my tape measure is over in my studio. Of course it is. Okay, well, crappers. You're going to measure around the palm of your hand. So this section here, right up here around your knuckles and up here, you want to measure there. Okay. And that measurement is how big you should make your mitten. So if this is an 8, make the size 8. If it's a size 7, make a size 7. If it's a 9, make a size 9. If you're in the in-between, you have to make a judgment call. Do you want your mittens tighter or looser? Go up or down. Pretty easy. I mean, it's not a sock. In a sock, I would go down. In a mitten, personally, I like my knit and snug, so I probably would go down also, but I'm an 8 circumference. I have, like I told you, I have big hands. So I'm an 8 circumference, but this is to let you know what size you should be making. And hopefully in your cuff, you made it the correct distance around so that it would meet up for you. And it's a little bit lacy. So if it stretches, you should be okay. Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to assume that this one is 42. Why not? I'm going to make 42. So if I take 42 and divide it by 4, hold on a minute. I can't do math in my head. So that gives me 10.5. So I know that in 2 sections, I'm going to have an extra stitch, right? So if I do 10, 10, 10, 10, and then put an extra one here and an extra one here, that'll give me 11 and 11. But it'll make it so that way I get 21 on this half and 21 on this half. Make sense? Okay. Everybody with me? Yeah? Okay. So you can see here it says possession the cuff with the previous lesson with the seam paste at the palm. So if these were seamed together, it'd be right here. So the seam is placed at the palm of the hand. With the same color as the cuff, also known as the main color, pick up and knit the number of stitches you're going to pick up on 4 double pointed needles. So at this point, needles 1 and 2, after you pick them up, are going to hold the back of the hand, and needles 3 and 4 will hold the palm. Now, when you say the back of the hand, this is the back of the hand. I'm only mentioning that because when I first read my own instructions, I was like, oh, this is the back of the hand. But that's the palm. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, nobody. So if I think about this as I have this on my hand, as on my wrist, right? I want the seam at my palm. I want it in the middle of my palm. So if needles 3 and 4 are going to hold my palm, then I know that as I pick up with one needle here, that's going to be my needle 4. Actually, this will be my needle 4. This will be my needle 3. This will be my needle 2. This will be my needle 1. So knowing that, I don't know if this makes any sense to you guys. Usually you don't have to think about things this hard. I just know that I want this in the middle of my palm, right? So I'm going to start picking up stitches over here. So that way my tail will be over there. You can start picking up stitches here and just count that as the start of your round. I mean, whatever works for you. I just like to do it this way. So now I need yarn. I need to grab any yarn or grab this yarn. Okay. So I need to pick up 10 stitches from this point to my marker. Am I close enough? I can't see. I think I am. So I'm going to come as close to the edge as possible. And obviously yours is going to look a little bit different. I have some finished stitches here. You're just going to come to the edge. Doesn't really matter too much of where you put your needle in. Just put your needle in somewhere you think you like. Take your yarn, wrap it around your needle, and then pull that yarn through the stitch. You just picked up and knit 1 stitch. Go a little bit further, poke your needle in, grab your yarn, wrap around your needle, and pop out. Go a little bit further, wrap around, and pop out. I have no idea why I'm holding this in my right hand. It's because I'm used to teaching the Michaels classes. So there's 3, and I'm just going to keep going. And it's all right, guys. Like right now, I'm just picking up 1 loop, but I don't have to do that. If I wanted to, I could go all the way through the fabric and have what looks like 2 loops on there and pick up and knit. Whatever's going to make it look good for you. Okay, that's what I'm most concerned about. And as I'm talking here, I'm not counting anymore. So I'm just going to get these all on here to the marker and then count. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need to squeeze 1 more in there. So what I would do at this point is I'm going to rip out 4 and I'm going to try and get 5 in there instead of 4. So I don't know. just kind of weasel them in. And yours will look different because it'll be the same color, right? You're using the same color yarn. And that would be 5, right? So I'm going to check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's the trick. Take this marker and you're going to add it to your needle. Now this is a really big fat marker, so I'm actually going to move it. Anybody have a guess why I'm adding that marker? Actually, okay, I don't have to add the marker. If I were continuing on with the same needle, I would add a marker, but I'm going to grab a new needle. Sorry, I forgot about the other needles. If I was continuing on, this marker would be my point at which I know I have 10 stitches. There's my marker, and I'm going to get 10 stitches here. Actually, I'm going to get 11. And so I have a place to rip back to if I don't get it. Does that make sense? Everybody with me on that? But right now, I forgot I had the other double points. Now I'm just going to continue on, and I got to get 11. So I'm just going to stick my needle in, yarn over, pull up a loop. 2, 3. Oops. Get these all on here. I tend to let them rest down there on the tip of my needle, and that's not good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I gotta get 3 more. 9. Ooh. 10 and 11. I'm gonna count and make sure. Once again, make sure you're not doing what I did and leaving them at the tip, otherwise they'll never fit on your needle. They need to make sure they are loose on there, or not loose, but they can actually move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. On to the next. How we doing? How's everybody doing? Don't forget the pattern for this is linked in the video description box below. And after all this is done, you could purchase the ad-free PDF, should you choose. Okay, that should be 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Obviously, I can't count. I'm gonna get it on the back of this one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Last needle. The good news about doing it like this is that you guys don't have to join to work in the round with the double points with just cast on stitches. You actually have fabric on there, which will make things a lot easier. That's the benefit of doing it this way. I'm gonna get 3 in there. Not sure how I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go underneath. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. With me here? Okay, so what I was saying before, let's go over this again. We have all of our stitches on here, and if we put this together where the seam would be, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to renumber our needles. So I'm going to say 1. I'm going to call this needle 1. So I'm going to say 1 and 4 are the palm. Catherine can fix this for me. Needles 1 and 4 are going to hold the palm. Needles 2 and 3 are going to hold the back of my hand. You guys with me? 1 and 4 hold the palm. Needles 2 and 3 hold the back of the hand. And how I'm counting that, so this is the first needle from the join that we're going to join right here. So this is needle 1, needle 2, needle 3, needle 4. You all with me on that? Yeah? All right. Catherine's going to update that in the pattern so that way it will be good to go. And it's at this point, you're going to join to work in the round, which remember, as crocheters, you might think, well, what does that mean? Like, do I slip stitch? What do I do? How do I join? You're just going to start knitting. We're going to start knitting to work in the rounds. All right. But here's the kicker. We're going to do a Latvian braid. So when we join to work in the round, our first round is the first round of our Latvian braid, which we totally know how to do. Do you guys need me to go through and show how to do the Latvian braid again? I need show of hands in here. I need to see what you guys think. Because honestly, it's just like we did before. You're going to knit one with each color all the way around. So knit one with your main color, knit with your other color, knit main color, knit other color, all the way around. And then you'll transfer over to doing the purl stitches, right? The purls where you slip them and you twist them and all that such. What I want to focus on more here is how do you knit going from one needle to the next and keeping those stitches nice and snug, okay? Because I think you know how to do the Latvian braid. We've talked about that. There's a standalone video for that. Like the only difference here is that you're on double points instead of circulars, but your double points are going to act as circulars. Because really, guys, your double points, I'm still just knitting with 2 needles. I'm knitting with this one here and this one here. These other 3 needles, it's just like they're the cord of my circular needles. They're just holding stitches. Where I think a lot of people struggle is the join between the double points and keeping it nice and snug. So what I'm going to do here, it looks like everybody says no, they think they have the braid. That's what I think too. I agree. I absolutely agree. All right, so I'm going to skip the Latvian braid instructions for this lesson because you guys know how to do it. You can do it. And I'm going to jump all the way down to where it says hand in the instructions. And all that means now is it says work in stockinette stitch until the hand measures 1 inch, 1.25 inches, or 1.5 inches, depends on what size you're making. So that's convenient because that means I'm just going to start knitting. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to keep those stitches nice and snug from one needle to the next, which is important because we don't want ladders in our mittens. Okay, everybody with me? All right, here we go. So right now I'm holding my needles just like so. I'm grasping my needle 1. I tend to put my needle 2 or whatever needle is next to the needle that's in my left hand. I put it like between my middle finger and my ring finger. So essentially I'm just grasping. It's just, can you guys see that? I'm just holding this needle, and this one, I just have it kind of tucked out of the way in there. This needle over here I'm ignoring it. And conveniently, as continental knitters, as we're positioning the tension with our yarn, it's pulling that last stitch from our needle 4 or the needle previous to the one we're going to knit onto, right? This one, or knit off of. So that's pulling this stitch snug, and it's pulling it up nice and close to the needle we're getting ready to work onto, which is great. We want that, because as we transfer from one needle to the next, we need to make sure that if these needles were straight, if this was just like one continuous needle, you wouldn't be able to tell that there was a break right there. Okay, because essentially that's what we've done. We've taken these, I think there's 20 stitches here, and we've taken it to where as if they were on one needle, and we broke it apart. And now we have 10 stitches on 2 needles. So our goal is to make sure that as we transition from this stitch, which is the last one on that needle, to this stitch, which is the first one on this needle, we need them to be as close together as sisters. Okay, so we do that by knitting or purling, whatever you're doing. For this example, we're knitting. You do that by knitting this first stitch really tight. And in order to keep that stitch tight, we have to knit the next stitch really tight. I call this stitch the sobriety partner to this one, because if you don't have this one nice and tight, this one's going to fall off the wagon and become really super loose. Okay, so here we go. This first one, you go into this first stitch, and it might be a little loose because remember, that's the first stitch. And so this is your tail, right? It's going to be a little loose. You knit into it. Let me get in there. Bring this over. Knit into it and off. I'm going to hold my tails just so I can keep them snug. And then I knit this really tight. See how I'm pulling it really tight? Like I could let go of my other needle, shake it around. It's not going anywhere. That's how tight I want it. Then keeping it that tight, I knit the next one. And I keep it really tight. Now I don't have to worry about anything. Now I can just knit as regular. And the thing here is as you're knitting around, your stitches will gradually relax and get into the size they're supposed to be. And so any extra slack, so to speak, on the stitches that we just knit will gradually work into the 2 really tight ones, and you'll never be able to tell they were super tight. But they're tight enough right now that if I had straight needles, you would never be able to tell that there was a break between this stitch and that stitch. It also keeps your needles in the stitches. You don't have to worry about them falling off. You get to the end of the needle, you rotate. So if this is 12 o'clock, you rotate it clockwise, right? This is 12, I'm clockwise, so I get the next one over. Push this one down. I tend to take this needle and I put it underneath the one I'm working on. And I do the same thing. So this first stitch, when I knit it and I pop it off, I make sure it's nice and tight. It's so tight, I can let my needle. Anybody else freaking out? Does that freak you out? Woo, needle's gonna fall. Okay, so the first one's tight and you knit the next one tight. And now you just knit like normal. Kind of a side note, if y'all don't want to do the Latvian braid, you just want to jump into this, you can do that. You do not have to do the Latvian braid at all. It's just one of those decorative things that obviously we all really love because it's really cool, but you don't have to. So I've hit the end of the needle, shove things down, rotate. You can see I tend to put the needles on either side of the left-hand needle I'm holding onto. I put them underneath it. I don't know why. There's no particular reason why. It's just over the years of knitting, that's my regular. It keeps them out of the way, and I like it that way. And then with this one, I don't go over top of this one. You can see I go underneath it. You see that? I don't go over top. I go underneath. and I go into this stitch and I knit it really tight. And I knit this one really tight. So it's funny, this needle is underneath this one to start, but it's on top of this one as I'm knitting. I've never really thought about that before. It just stays out of the way for me. I'm gonna keep going. Remember the first one, really tight. You gotta get this partner, get that partner nice and snug. Now you can relax. Everything's good. The partner's got everything under control. All your stitches are looking great on the needles. Your needles are butted up one up to the other, so there's no gap except maybe here at the start, just because, you know, we have this tail here, but that'll be closed up once we graft everything. But here you are. If I hold this just like so, you should be able to see where the last stitch on one needle and the first stitch on the next, they look as if it was in a straight line, they would butt right up to each other. And this is the key to not getting a ladder in your work. And when I talk about a ladder, I'm talking about what looks like a run in your pantyhose. And it's actually the yarn that goes from this needle to this needle has too much slack, so it looks like a ladder. You can see the yarn, that yarn right there. It looks like a ladder between one and the next. And so this is how you maintain control. You make sure as you're knitting, you guys, it's just like when we were knitting in the round, make sure your work is facing you. Your other needle should be away from you. If you find that you're knitting like this, you're knitting inside out. We don't want to do that. Can you guys see the difference? So this is where the knitting is away from me, and these are over here. I want to make sure I'm knitting just like so, where my needles and my yarn that I'm knitting with are always on this side to me, and the needles with the yarn just resting on it are away from me. So I always have the right side of the fabric. I'm always looking at the right side as I knit. If my right side happens to be on the inside, I'm knitting inside out. Okay, is that good so far? All right. Now, as we're doing stockinette stitch in the round, this is just a reminder because we've talked about this before. Stockinette stitch in the round is just knitting. When we just knit and we're working back and forth, what's that called? You guys know what that's called? It's called garter stitch. You guys know that? Yeah. So when the pattern says to work in stockinette stitch until the hand measures 1 inch, you're doing it just like this. You go round and round and round and round. Make sure the first one's tight. And you're just going to knit in stockinette stitch. And conveniently, because we have this nice, well, what will be a seam in our cuff, we know the beginning, or at the same time, the end of our round, based on the fact that when we get to the needle that is right before our opening, we know that's our last needle and this is our first needle. So when we get to our measurement that we want to make sure that we get to the end of our round when we hit that. Okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to knit right now. Okay. So I'm just going to keep knitting because I think you guys like to see me knit on double points. And I know that it's helpful to see somebody knitting like you do on double points, because this is actually how I learned to purl, believe it or not, is watching somebody purl on double points. The trick here with double points, guys, never let your stitches get loose. Never let your stitches get loose. And if you always keep those first 2 stitches snug, your needles are not going to fall out. They are not going to fall out. I literally love these needles. I love the stiletto tip. I love how pointy they are. I love, there's like, it's not a grip. It's just the finish on these needles is so smooth. I just love the way they feel. I think the signature double pointed needles are my all-time favorite needles. And that's a big statement. I mean, I love the signature circulars, but I almost love the Chaigu needles, the Chaigu circulars just as much. I shouldn't even say almost. I think they're really close. But when it comes to the double points, man, Signature's got it going on. I just love them. Always make sure you're knitting that first one tight, guys. It's very important. All right, Catherine, as I'm just going around here getting some fabric before we get to the gusset, can you jump in here and see if there's any questions or anything? I'll go back to gallery.
Sure. So there was a question. I was trying to see if I had the answer, but I don't think I do. It's what length are the DPNs that you're using?
I think mine are 5s, and I don't have a tape measure, I would tell you. I think mine are 5 inches. They're 5 or 6 inches. I can't remember. I know they're not the 4 inches because the 4 inches are just too small for my hands. So I'm pretty sure mine are the 5 inches. I have the longer ones too, and I use those only if I'm trying to do something like a sleeve or something where I need a lot of stitches. But these tend to be just perfect for what I use them for. They're pretty
nice.
I like them.
Cindy wanted to know if there's an easy way to fix ladders should they occur.
Oh gosh.
Or does one have to, do you have to tink back to fix it?
I mean, technically the ladder, it looks like a drop stitch. So you could ladder it up and just have yourself an extra stitch and then get rid of it. I mean, my goal here is that you guys don't get ladders and you don't have to go back and fix any, that they will just disappear based on working the technique that I've showed you how to do.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not a very fun answer, but yeah, tinking is going to be your best way. Something else I want to mention is I haven't added a lifeline or anything yet, right? I was going to tell you guys, after you do your Latvian braid, it might be a good idea to add a lifeline after your Latvian braid, because that way you don't have to go back and undo all of that should something happen. But with this, without the Latvian braid, I mean, if I made a huge mistake and I needed to go all the way back to where I picked up stitches, I could do that really easily. You know, I'd just be losing all the hand that I had worked up, but it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But after you do your Latvian braid, I think I would go ahead and add a stitch marker, or not a stitch marker, gosh darn it, a lifeline. Yeah, I can't even think. Add a lifeline because it'll save you just in case.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What is this? If X equals Y, so glad we learned continental because I cannot imagine knitting with DPNs in English. You know what? It's funny you say that because I too really struggle. And I think it's because, like you can see right here on this first stitch, I really use my pointer finger. And this is probably why I use my pointer finger so much now that I think about it, Catherine. I use it to pull, look at that. I pull my yarn over to pull that needle over and then wrap it. And because remember I told you guys, I learned to knit so that way I could knit socks. That's probably why I use my finger so much as I knit.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Because I mean, I know others that they pick at the yarn like this. And maybe you guys are doing that too, where you pick at the yarn. I have always used my finger sort of as a lever. And it makes sense to me now, thinking that it really just pulls that other needle over to me. And when I have to knit English style on DPNs, man, I struggle because I can't get that. And it's that right there. It's that pull that over so that look how close that stitch is to that one. So when I go to knit, I mean, it is right up in its business. I mean, look at that. That's a beautiful thing right there, people. I don't know. I
kind of wonder if I need to retrain myself to hold my needles differently, because I think I'm causing myself problems with that weird pencil way that I hold them. It works on the straights. That's why I love the straights, but it's not working with the smaller needles.
Like I-
I'll show you in person. Maybe you can just hold my hands and fix them for me.
There are some amazing knitters that hold their needles like this. I am not one of them.
Maybe I'll eventually be one of them.
I can do it. Look at that. I don't know. This grip just works best for me. I am not one of them. I'm gonna go back and tink those. I didn't do those very tight.
Someone has a question.
Sure.
The question is, how can I put them on and have the same tension? Not quite sure. Not sure quite what that means. Put them on.
Does she mean the?
Well, Sandra's saying she has issues with tension. Sandra, if you're listening still, what do you mean put them on? Do you mean put them on the DPNs? Maybe.
She says she has trouble with tension. So the biggest thing, Sandra, is you're really going to have to find a way to hold the yarn. I don't know if you're holding the yarn at all yet. You have to find some way to hold the yarn. Guys, by the way, my nail is not dirty. Like, I've been playing with I can't, it's like pen or something in there. I can't get it off. I noticed it during the Michael's class today, and I was like, I look like I'm a dirty person, but I just can't get that off. So yeah,
I doubt anyone was
it's
thinking
not
that.
Dirty. Well, it's bothering me, so I'm going to say it out loud. You're going to have to find some way to hold the tension. Like you've got to hold the tension, and it really is, you've got to keep these stitches just nice. It's going to take practice, guys. I mean, one of the best things you could do if you are really struggling with this, and this is going to sound really funny, but cast on stitches on like 2 or 3 DPNs, and don't join them in the round. Just work them back and forth, like as if it was a straight needle with the breaks in it, and take the time to really make sure that those break points come together, and just take a couple hours and do that. And that will help you immensely with keeping the tension. It's just gonna take time.
Jennifer wants to know specifically, what do you love about the signature DPNs?
Oh my gosh. I love the finish. I love how pointy they are. I love the way they feel in my hands. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to break them. Even with the smaller ones, I don't feel like I'm going to break them. I love the colors. I love, you hear the sound? Can you guys hear the sound of them? Like, as you're like, it's just everything about them. I just really enjoy them. They're not super heavy, but they've got some weight to them that makes my hands happy. I think the biggest one is probably the point and the finish. I love the finish of them.
And the point is what they're kind of known for, right? Isn't that what they're like unique for? What they kind of started out doing?
Yeah, the stiletto points. Yeah.
Someone wants to know if they can do the Latvian braid on circulars before switching to DPNs.
So the hard part here is that your circulars, unless you use them as a magic loop or 2 circulars, which are not learning here, then they're going to be too big for you. Honestly, guys, it shouldn't be too hard with the double points, but if you wanted to do it on the circulars and do it like as a magic loop, you could. I can see here Sandra is talking about the cast on. So I will tell you, Sandra, one of my favorite ways to cast on to double pointed needles, I call it the no cuss cast on. There's a whole video for it right here on YouTube. I recommend watching that, and that will help you with the cast on, the no cuss cast on. And watch that. That should help you immensely with your cast on to the double pointed needles. And hopefully that will be good for you.
I will drop that link right now.
Awesome. Okay. If X equals Y says, I'm practicing doing my yarn tension differently because my way of holding the left hand of crochet is slow when purling, doesn't work well with good tension on the DPNs. Getting there. You know what? I get that. It's going to take some practice. And that's why we're here, right? It's just to get some practice.
Ooh, I love it. Someone said that they just joined last week, and I haven't seen us abbreviate it this way, but I love it. They just joined the BCBC last week, the BiCrafty Bootcamp, BCBC. I like it.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to have you change something else in the pattern for me here in a minute, just so you know.
Okay, let me know.
All right, give me a second. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I'm changing it in the pattern, which if you guys are watching this in the replay, it'll all be correct for you, but I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. All right, so I'm going to set this down. Let's say that this is long enough, right? And we have to decide, is this going to be our right hand? Remember, we talked about this being the palm. So this is our right hand. Or maybe I don't have to change it. I don't have to change it. Never mind. I don't have to. Do I? Yes, I do have to change it. Okay, so this is our right hand. This is our left hand, right? So we're going to talk about here the right hand thumb prep. So that means if I figure this is my hand at this point, I need to get over here so that it's essentially at the end of my needle 3 and the start of my needle 4 is where I want my thumb to be. Okay. I'm also going to give you guys a little tip. So there's a lot of patterns that are written out there with the thumb directly on the side of the mitten. And if you look at your hand, your thumb is not on the side of your hand. It's a little bit towards the palm of your hand. Like, look at your hand. You see your thumb is a little bit forward. Okay. So something that I like to do is instead of putting my gusset, like in other patterns, they'll have you put it like right here between needle 3 and 4. Okay, you guys see what I'm talking about? So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. If this was, my hand was in here, I need a thumb over here. What I like to do is instead of putting it right there between those two, I tend to move it in a couple stitches and put it a couple stitches in on needle 4. So what that means is, so Catherine, you're going to have to help me do math here. On the part where it says knit round, or it says next round, it says knit. And then right now it says 21, 23, 27. We're not going to do 21, 23, 27. Okay. We're going to do, so 21 would put us halfway. And so we want 10 more, which will be 31 plus 2 more. So 33. So 33. That's 33. Mm-hmm. So then for the 23, we'd want 10 more, which would be 33 plus 2 more, so 35. Okay. And then do the same thing for the 27. It should be 39. 39. Yep. And so that should put us to where we're a couple stitches in or 1 stitch in, depending on where you put your 11 or whatever whatever it should be. It should put you somewhere over here on needle 4. So now you guys kind of get the reasoning of why I'm doing it that way. So we're going to knit around to where we get to the number of stitches we want. And this kind of helps you guys out too if you wanted to do something on your own to decide where you want to put your thumb. On this same note, so when you get over there, when we do the left hand, we're going to want the left hand over here on needle 1. So it will be like only knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches for the left hand when that comes time. I didn't write the left hand thumb prep yet. I'm going to write that next week. Okay, that's going to do all that for the next week. Unless I decide to, I mean, that's my plan is next week. But do you guys get the concept here? So it's like for the thumb on the right hand, it's going to be over here. We're going to make it around that 1 stitch right there. And over here, it's going to be that 1 stitch right there. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay.
Sounds like it makes sense. Do you want to maybe switch to the view where it's just your hands so they can see it better?
Yep, that's the next. That's what I'm going to do next.
Got it.
Unmute and go to speaker. Okay. So this is going to be right hand thumb prep. This is so easy. You guys can do this. Once I start going with this, I'm going to let you go on and keep going. So we're going to knit across the number of stitches written in the pattern, or if you went rogue, which no judgment at all, just know you want to be at a couple, you want your thumb to start a couple stitches in from the edge of your palm, right? Because we know that needle 1 and needle 4 are the palm stitches. So for the right hand, we want it over here. For the left hand, we want it over here. So I'm just going to knit around to where I just told you. My yarn is caught. Jeez Louise. So this is my needle 3. So on any other pattern that a lot of people write, they'll have your thumb gusset be directly on the side of the hand, which they put it like right here. I don't really like that. I like it a little bit more in on the palm of my hand. So I usually will work in 1 or 2 stitches. I'm going to work in 2 stitches for this. So I've worked in where I want it to be. And then it says place a marker, right? Place a marker. Now it says make 1. Now you have a decision to make. I didn't tell you what kind of make 1 I want to do. You could do an actual make 1. You could do a make 1 left. You could do a make 1 right. You could do a yarn over. You could do a knit front and back. I would not suggest the knit front and back because there's only 1 stitch here before you have to add another marker. So if you like the idea of a yarn over, that works. But remember, yarn overs create holes. Now you can tighten up the yarn over by twisting it on the next round. If that's what you want to do, it's up to you. But if you want to do just a basic old make 1, you're going to take your left hand needle and that strand right there. You're going to scoop it up and then you're going to knit it through the back leg so that it twists it and create an extra stitch. And then you'll knit 1. Do another make 1. And then add a marker. Now, yeah, guys, there's like specifics to make 1s, like to lean one direction or the next. I'm not going to stress it about this. I mean, you just don't have to. It's a crochet marker. All my markers are getting used everywhere, so I'm running out of mark. Never thought those words would leave my mouth. Running out of markers. Okay, so I've placed a marker there. So between my markers, I now have 3 stitches. Or you can think of it as I've just increased 2 stitches on my round. Now I'll go ahead and knit to the end of the round. Those 3 stitches are the start of my thumb gusset. So we essentially removed 1 stitch from the body of our hand, added 2 stitch either side of it, and we're going to start increasing out this wedge for our thumb to work into. Now, I wrote the instructions so that we do this increase every 3 rounds. After this, so this first one, we're going to do it again relatively quickly, like after 2 rounds. And then I wrote it to be 3 rounds. I'm second guessing myself. I'm thinking I should do 2 rounds. So, Catherine, let's change that. So delete round 3 and 4. And then where it says repeat rounds, put repeat rounds 1 and 2 until 13, 17, or 19 stitches. That's fine. We're gonna work our increase every other round. Originally, I was gonna have it be every 3 rounds, but I'm changing my mind. I think this will work out nice. You got that, Catherine?
Yeah, but I need to change the 13, 17, and 19 stitches, right, to the numbers that we changed it to above.
No,
no,
because those are our thumb stitches. Those will be the stitches between the markers.
Okay, just okay.
Those are good.
Yes, I've got it.
You are good there. And then this is how we're gonna go, y'all. You just knit around. The hardest part is remembering when you're on an increase round and when you're not. So what I do is as I'm going, when I get to my marked stitches, I really try and read my stitches. And if the stitch that I'm working into looks like it was a make 1, then I'm like, oh, okay. And I know that because see how it looks like a twisted stitch there, a twisted stitch beneath the one that's on my needle. So I know that this stitch was created from a make 1. So I know I'm just on a regular knit round, right? So I'm just going to knit those stitches. On the next round, I'll do another increase. Oh, that's a good idea. If X equals Y says you can make one with the shadow wrap, you absolutely could. Looks like she's a knitter. I tend to usually use knit front and back quite a bit. Just an easy increase, but yeah, just used to make one this time around. Not gonna lie, kind of liking this cuff. Maybe this is a happy accident. I mean, I don't like this cuff with this yarn, like they're two different yarn weights, but I kind of like that cuff with the idea of making it into a mitten. That maybe that's a future pattern. I like that stitch a lot. I was playing around with a bunch of stitches, trying to find what I wanted to use for the champion shawl and some of the future patterns I have coming out. So I have like 20 swatches. All right, so right here, can you see how this first stitch here, that one's not twisted beneath the one on my needle? So that's my clue. I'm like, ah, look, I'm on an increase round. So I can grab this loop, knit it through the back leg, and then get to my needle, not my needle, my marker, and do it again. And keep going. Now, our goal here, guys, is to get enough stitches between our markers so that way our thumb can fit in there. So essentially, if you thought about it, this marker and this marker should be able to be folded around and meet up and have a nice space open that's large enough to put your thumb in. So if you get to where the number of stitches you're supposed to have on your thumb gusset, when you get there, if your thumb doesn't fit, maybe it's too small, the circle thing is too small for your thumb, you can do another round. If it's too big, you could always go back and decrease one, or not decrease, but not work one of those increases. So as you're getting close to the number of stitches you're supposed to have, maybe just kind of put your thumb in there and kind of see how it's feeling. Because maybe you're a size 9-inch circumference around your hand, but you don't need 19 stitches for your thumb. Maybe you only need 17. Great, just get 17 then. It's not going to be the end of the world. Okay. Now, originally, as I said, I was making these every 3 rounds, and that's just going to make the gusset a little bit longer, right? Until I got to the number of stitches I need. So the other thing to do, this is kind of like one of those, if you want to customize some, so you do it every other round, and then you're like, man, that looks kind of short. And you want to change it to every 3rd round. So that way you can elongate that a little bit more. You totally can do that. It's not going to change anything. Like, it's just going to make the entire portion of your mitten a little bit longer. Okay. For this section, but this section up here, you will knit that continuing from where you essentially put these on a holder and you cast on a stitch right here. So you have this number of stitches again, back to where you started, and you will knit all the way up until you get to your pinky essentially. And then we do the top of the mitten. So if you make this part a little bit longer, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to interfere with up here because you are going to knit this to a measurement, not a certain number of rows. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. If X equals Y says I've been watching a lot of sock tutorials. Yeah, guys, I don't want to talk about shadow wrap right now, if that's all right. It's another lesson for another class. Let's kind of stick with all this. So my goal here is to get you guys through the thumb prep, right? And then your goal then is to put those stitches on a holder and then knit the hand of your mitten until it's about 6 inches, 7 inches, or 8 inches, or until it's, you know, to your pinky, if you are making it for yourself. because we need to save room for the top of the mitten, right? Yeah, okay. You need to save room for the top of the mitten. So all of those rounds that we'll do up there will make a difference. That's why you don't make it until it's the very top of your fingers, because we're going to do some decrease rounds. But this is it. I mean, this is as easy as it gets, just working in stockinette stitch around. And I think, Catherine, while I have you here, why don't we go ahead and I'm going to have you write out left hand thumb prep. So essentially just copy everything that was the right hand thumb prep. And we're going to just replace numbers. So instead of the numbers, so that we get over to where at needle 4, we want to make it so that we are just using a few stitches on this. So I'm going to refresh my page. Have you saved the instructions yet, Catherine? Like published the changes?
So I just cut and paste so we have a left hand thumb prep ready for me to edit, and
okay.
It should be published now.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to set this right here for a second. You guys can give me just a minute to do a little math so that I can tell Catherine what to do. I got to tell Catherine what to do. So 42 minus 33. So that left us with 9 stitches. Okay. And then you guys happy you're here with me? Is that right? So we started with 42 and then 46 and then 54. Was that it? Yeah, 54. So that should be what we have remaining once you get around and you do 33, 35, 39. So 39 plus 15 equals 54. Yep. 35 plus 11 equals 46. 33 plus 9 equals 42. Perfect. So out of these, we use one of them for the gusset. So we have 8 stitches, 1 stitch, and then the rest. Okay. So then you have 10, 1, and 14, and then 1. Okay. So Catherine, for the left hand thumb prep, you would knit 8, and then 10, and then 14. And that should make everything work. Did you guys like how I did my math there? It's total chicken scratch, but that should work because this one is our gusset stitch, which is we would have a marker right here, 1 stitch and a marker, right? And so that's our 9, which goes back to right there, which is what we have left after you knit the 33. Yep, that's right. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, gotta love knitting.
Where exactly am I putting that?
Okay, so where it says right hand thumb prep.
Yes.
Go ahead and add it where it says place gusset stitches on scrap yarn for holder.
Uh-huh.
Underneath that, say left hand thumb prep.
Got it.
And then before where it says cast on 1 stitch to replace the original stitch, put on say something like continue in pattern or continue for both hands or whatever it is. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So depending on what hand people are making.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, if we didn't care about this seam, we could just write it with just thumb prep because it wouldn't matter what was our top of our hand or our bottom of our hand. You know, these are the crazy things you think about when you make mittens. I've made so many. It's a bonus tutorial on how to make our own pattern. Sure, we'll go with that. All right, here we go. Let's do a make. Oh, is that one? Yeah, that's a straight. See, I have to go and because I lose track of myself all the time. I don't want to go the whole way here. You guys, hopefully this will work for you after we do this next round. I'm going to put these stitches on a holder as if they are what I, you know, the amount I need, and then go from there. So I can show you how to do backward Z cast on. Super easy. You guys already know how to do it. You just don't know you know how to do it. All right, so I'll knit around this round and then we'll put those on a holder. In the instructions, I don't have you knitting one more round after that increase round. I'm going to go ahead and have you do that. So Catherine, if you're ready.
Yep, let me know.
So when it says repeat rounds 1 and 2 until 13, 17, 19 stitches between markers, say knit one more round. After that, knit one round. And then place the stitches on the gusset, on a holder for the gusset. You don't have to do that. Like the way I wrote it would work, but I think it would look better if you just have a basic knit round instead of making this the round. I think it'd be better to have a knit round. Either way would work, but all right, so this is the round. I'm gonna put things on a holder. So I'm gonna knit over to where my gusset stitches are. Ooh. And here we are. So I remove my marker, grab a tapestry needle, some scrap yarn. Do I have scrap yarn? Do I have scrap yarn? Did I seriously just ask that? And you're gonna thread scrap yarn through these stitches. So go into each one like you're gonna purl. That way you're not twisting the stitches or anything. Okay, pull that through. And those of you who haven't done this yet on your lace cuff, this is exactly what you do on the lace cuff. Take your other marker off. You guys don't know this already, because I can't remember what I've told you or haven't told you. When I use scrap yarn like this, I always tie the bottom just a little loose. So that way, if I accidentally snag it, I'm not going to pull it out of those stitches. And now they're just resting there out of the way. But I have to replace that one stitch right there, right? That one stitch that we used. So I do that with a backward Z. So essentially, put the yarn on your hand like you would if it was a long tail cast on. You see that? So I'm grasp the yarn and scoop around just like this. Take your needle and scoop it up. It's called a backward Z. So I cast on one. So that replaces that one stitch. And now I go ahead and I continue with the rest of the stitches on this needle. And I am back to my original stitch count. And those stitches over here on the holder are for my thumb. Obviously that's not enough stitches for my actual thumb, but you guys get how that works. And now you just continue on knitting until the mitten measures the distance written in the pattern, or until it's about your pinky, just about your pinky, because you can kind of finagle the top of the mitten too to be custom fit for you. So you want to make sure you're not making it too long and not too short. Kind of right about your pinky or just before your pinky is usually a good rule of thumb. I don't even know what rule of thumb means, but you guys understand what I'm saying, hopefully. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to show you how to work into that backwards E. And I'm going to hopefully show you and explain to you why I don't use the backwards E cast on as a normal cast on, because there are people that's what they use only. But can you see how loose it gets? How it's like crazy loose and out of control? I hate that. So you just got to make sure, because it's twisted, it's just a twisted piece of yarn. Just make sure you get in there and really get it snug. Get that one snug. Okay, see? And keep going. So now you just work around. So at this point, when you're on yours, you should be able to put your hand in there and actually stick your thumb through that. Does that make sense? So as I mentioned before, if this feels like, if your gusset feels like it's just too short, obviously this one's too short, but you could space these out. Instead of increasing every other round, you could increase every third round, you could increase every fourth round, whatever you need to do to make that work. Okay? Any questions? You guys see how I don't have any ladders? Like it looks like seamless fabric. I didn't do anything special. You guys saw. I mean, I just knit those stitches tight. That's all it is. No big extra secret. That's the secret. Sit them nice and snug. It's freaking beautiful if I say so myself. I love it. All right, let me go back here. And let's go back to gallery, and I'm going to turn this off, that one. Okay, how are we doing, Catherine? Are we good? Everybody feeling good? Everybody doing all right?
I think we're good. Yes. I was trying to do too many things in the blog at once while watching, but it looks like everyone seems like they're on board. I don't see any questions here. People are starting to talk about, those people who are joining BiCrafty Champions are talking about how they cannot wait to open those boxes of yarn.
Oh my gosh, I have mine right here. Look at this. This thing is, can you see how big this is?
It's so exciting.
It is massive. It is massive. It is fantastic. I cannot wait for everybody to start opening it and get going. Like that's what I got to do after this is I got to upload the video one so that way it'll be ready to go for tomorrow. Because it'll be live tomorrow at noon.
Yay.
That's when it's going.
Cindy says she put her box underneath her bed so she couldn't look at it and be tempted to open it early.
That's funny. I know I saw some people who already opened theirs. They got in and squished to find all the yarn so they could open it and get all the yarn wound up ahead of time. So that way they're good to go. I was like, well, that's smart. That's one way to do it. Definitely one way to go about the whole process for sure. I thought it's fun. Oh gosh. Okay, Nola says, since I can't get the lace, I'm just going to do rib instead. You absolutely can. Yeah, absolutely. You could do ribbing and then just go right into the instructions for the hand for sure. And then if you need help, Nola, with the ribbing, I absolutely recommend doing the no-cuss cast on. If you're going to cast on directly to DPNs, I suggest doing the no-cuss cast on. That's the way to go. It's pretty awesome. Let's see here. Oh, thank you. Angela says you have great customer service, Marley. Thank you. That's good to hear. Sometimes we'll get emails of people saying that they've emailed us several times and we're like, we don't have anything, because our customer service is pretty amazing. She's on top of stuff. Like the minute it gets mailed in, when she's working, I mean, we reply back immediately. So it's always interesting to me, some of the things that people say. There's a lot of very privileged people out there who it's like they think of some big business, and I'm like, geez, if Marley Bird knew you were doing blah blah blah, and I'm like, dude, this is Marley Bird. Who do you think I am? This isn't. Let me transfer you to the customer service department. Hello, like, it's where we are. It's kind of interesting. Let's see here. Sandra says I came in the middle. What are we making, Marley? Today it's a mitten. We are working on mittens for the BiCrafty community, BiCrafty champion workshop. A lot of BiCrafty stuff happening. We're making a shawl. It's a shawl. There's a crochet shawl and a knit shawl. They are beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, you guys, they are so pretty. Let's see here. If X equals Y says I took the day off tomorrow to play with yarn. That is awesome. That is awesome. I'll let you guys know. 2 hours left for a chance to purchase this box. 2 hours. Or not the box. I'm sorry. 2 hours left for a chance to purchase the workshop at a discounted price. After tomorrow, it goes up to full price, which is still a reasonable price for what you're getting. I mean, it's huge. It's so big. It's amazing. You guys will love it. Let's see. Cindy says, my Swift is my husband. That's awesome. I love that. We had fun winding up a ball of yarn, Robin and I did, for the pre-game how to wind yarn videos. And Marcia says, oh, I had one before, but I lost it during the move. It's very cool. I'm not sure what she had, but maybe it was a Swift or a husband. Did you lose your husband? Did you lose your husband, Marcia? Or did you lose the Swift? Or are you talking about something completely different? I have no idea. I think she's talking about the Swift. Jacqueline says that she got an Amish Swift. I have one of those. I really like it, actually. I use it when I'm winding stuff upstairs, because you guys who watched the pregame videos saw that I have a really nice winding station down here in my office. And so I use an umbrella Swift over there for sure. Let's see here. Kimberly says, I can't decide whether to do the crochet or the knit. That is the question, isn't it? That is the question. If I'm being honest, I think the knitting one's a little bit easier than the crochet. And the reason I say that is because there are so many different places you can put your hook in crochet and so many different ways to do things. Whereas on knitting, everything is just on your needles. You know what I mean? So it's pretty straightforward. And that's not to say the crochet one is super hard, because it's not. It's just like anything else, though. Typically, the knitting tends to be a little bit easier, I think, because it's just very straightforward. Now, conveniently, Robin has put together charts for you to see where your stitches go. There's a huge set of instructions. And then there's, of course, the videos, like a lot of video content, like long videos, very detailed videos. We didn't make any assumptions. With the exception,
they'll have both of those, right, Marley? They'll have both the knit and crochet patterns and all the videos, so you could always pick one and then go back and do the other one after or later if you wanted to.
Yep, you have both. You have both forever. Have both forever. All right, I think Marcia's laughing at me. All right, so speaking of that, guys, I think we're good here, and I think you are good and ready to go for your mittens. As you are working on them, make sure you share with us, hashtag BiCrafty Bootcamp, hashtag Marley Bird, hashtag MMMDI. all the good things. And then just for those of you who want to sign up for the BiCrafty Champions workshop at a discount price, it's half off right now and for another 2 hours, less than 2 hours if you're watching live. The link is in the video description box below. If you're catching this on the replay, you can still sign up for the workshop at full price. The link is in the video description box below. We would love to have you there and join in the fun. We are using fingering weight yarn. So it is sock yarn. And I did my shawl on size 5 needles. So 3.75 size 5 needles are the ones I'm using. All right. That's it from me, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Catherine, thank you for being my live editor.
Of course. I hope I got it right. I think I did, but
I mean, from what I can see right now, the only thing I think we might be missing is the extra knit round before we place the stitches on the gusset, or it could be that you've already put it in there. I just don't see it up live yet.
I think it's just not updated on your end yet. It's there.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, cool. Well, I'll see you guys next week, next Thursday, I guess. And we're going to finish so it'll be a big lesson, guys. We're going to finish the top of the mitten. We're going to finish the thumb. We'll finish seaming together the lace bit. And if I have time, I will talk about the duplicate stitch. We might just hold off on duplicate stitch till the following lesson. I will play that by ear and kind of see how that goes. But a lot of stuff going on because, you know what, I'm going to make an executive decision right now. We will do the duplicate stitch on the following lesson because on that one, I want to show you a bunch of little extra stuff to wrap up the BiCrafty Bootcamp to kind of give you all the tools you need to carry on, set forth, my friends. Great. That's it, y'all. Talk to you later.
Bye.